Michel Barnier has ramped up the pressure on Prime Minister Boris Johnson to make concessions in post-Brexit talks by claiming the EU is in a better position to walk away from negotiations. Michel Barnier has made another intervention and reignited Project Fear ahead of the fourth round of Brexit trade talks which will begin this week. The European Commission head of task force has claimed the EU will be less exposed to a no-deal outcome at the end of the transition period, as the UK exports a greater number of goods to the continent. Mr. Barnier says Britain exports just less than half of all its goods to the European Union, compared to just 7% in the other direction. On the prospect of no agreement being reached between the two sides, the 69-year-old said, "We are less exposed because 7% of our exports go to the UK, whereas for the UK it's 47% of their exports which come to the EU. So I think that it is in the interests of both sides to find an agreement, particularly now. But there won't be an agreement which comes about to the detriment of the EU in the long term, nor if it harms the integrity of the single market." Mr. Barnier and the UK's Brexit negotiator David Frost have so far held 3 rounds of talks with outstanding issues over trade, fishing and regulations proving a huge stumbling block. Brussels has so far resisted the UK's demands, outlined in its draft legal texts, for a comprehensive free trade agreement, with the EU insisting on clauses to ensure a so-called level playing field. With talks at a stalemate, Mr. Barnier has again condemned the result of the 2016 EU referendum but insisting any deal would be worse than the current terms. In an interview with the Sunday Times, the EU chief said the negotiations were concentrated on damage limitation and claimed even leading Brexiteer Nigel Farage could not show the added value to Brexit. Mr. Barnier also insisted the global coronavirus crisis has put a new emphasis on finding an agreement and stated the COVID-19 pandemic has already brought very serious consequences.